I don't think I'll ever get bored of looking at this or talking about it. This is the Church of Santa Maria del Mar. It means Our Lady of the Sea, because we're getting a little bit closer to the seaside now. This place here, it started construction in the March of 1329. On the 3rd of November in 1383, they laid the very last brick. Sadly, 1428, massive earthquake, one of the only ones in Catalonia's history, and it cracked the bell towers and blew out the rose window, which they then replaced with a slightly more gaudy version of the original in 1460. But it is perfect Catalan Gothic architecture, okay? You never see this kind of unity and simplicity in buildings this big is very rare. Normally when they get this big, they start to get a bit more ostentatious as they go up, and this one didn't. It kind of tried to stay true to its roots, and its roots are extraordinarily cool. This place was built by the people for the people. And the little brass plaques on the doors of the guys carrying bricks, it's a tribute to all the different guilds of the Ribera, which is where we now are, who all contributed to building the place. Yeah? Sadly, just like the Church of the Pine Tree where we were earlier, this place was the target of massive anti-church riots, okay? In 1936, left-wing militants attacked the Catholic Church, partly for being fascist sympathisers, but partly for funding wars in which only poor people were dying, because if you were rich, you could pay and dodge the draft. If you're poor, you've got to go and fight. And it led to an uprising. It became known as the Red Terror. The Red Terror, brace yourself, they murdered 7,000 clergy in 3 months, okay? That was 20% of the clergy in the country were murdered in about 3 months before the government got control. All the victims of the Red Terror, they were all given monuments by Franco's government, and then he responded with what became known as the White Terror, which it systematically wiped out over 200,000 people, but years after the Civil War had ended, yeah? And all of those victims ended up in unmarked mass graves, okay? So when Franco died, think, what's a good analogy? Think South Africa after apartheid kind of thing. It's just kind of agreed not to talk about it. I mean, it's still quite a taboo subject even today. That period of their history is not really discussed. But following the transition, as they call it, when democracy slowly started to return to Catalonia, since that moment, the cries for Catalan independence have been getting louder and louder and louder. Just around the corner from here, it used to be the cemetery of this church. It's now it's like the epicenter of the fight for independence for Catalonia, okay? We're going to go around to a place, it is called the Cemetery of the Mulberry Trees, and it doesn't get creepier or cooler than this place, and I will tell you all about that fight, okay?